Finally, welcome back to The Curious Listener. Since the release of Radiohead's last record, A Moon-Shaped Pool, almost a decade ago now, back in 2016, and their last tour in 2018, Radiohead fans have waited with increasing desperation for any sign of life from this band. And there's every justification for the intensity of that anticipation that this landmark rock band would do something again, because this is a band that has sold 30 million records. This is a band that was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2019. This is a band whose 1990s albums, in particular The Bends and OK Computer, were monumental statements in a decade full of them, the 1990s. So no wonder that Radiohead fans have been hoping that it's not over. I, myself, in a prior video I'll link to in the description of this one, have entertained the possibility that Radiohead as a five-piece unit might be dead. However, finally, in the midst of an onslaught of all sorts of side projects within the Radiohead orbit in recent years, there may be the biggest sign of hope for Radiohead fans yet. I think this is the most compelling piece of hope that Radiohead fans have encountered since the band last toured in 2018 behind a moon-shaped pool. Okay, and man, does this come at a moment of I would think particular desperation for Radiohead fans, because you guys have watched Smile put out 3 records, including 2 last year alone. Right, in 2022 they had A Light for Attracting Attention. Last year, 2 records. On January 26, 2024, they put out Wall of Eyes. On October 4th, they put out Cutouts, right? So 2 Smile records in 1 year. By the way, in addition to Thom Yorke's 6 existing solo albums, there's a 7th on the way, scheduled for release on May 25th, a record called Tall Tales in collaboration with Mark Pritchard. You can look that up. I can link to a story about that in the description as well. As you know, also, if you're a Radiohead fan, it's not just Smile or Thom Yorke solo stuff, hardly. Johnny Greenwood is on a lot of very highly celebrated film work. Colin Greenwood in recent years has toured with Nick Cave. Ed O'Brien as EOB put out a solo record called Earth in 2020. Phil Selway's got 4 solo albums out, most recently Strange Dance in 2023. These guys have not been allowing any grass to grow under their feet. They might not be doing much as a unit, with the exception of the 2021 reissue of Kid A, called Kid Amnesia or whatever. But other than that, man, it's been a painful go of things for Radiohead fans hoping for signs of life. Well, that sign of life has come, in my view. Their habit for years as a band, as you may know, if you've been watching this band with some degree of closeness, has been to create what's called, pardon me as I for a second get into the weeds with you for just a minute here, they create these limited liability partnerships, these LLPs, in advance of seemingly every project that at least Thom Yorke is directly involved with, okay? And yes, these limited liability partnerships that they create often have preceded new studio albums. Sometimes it's just been a reissue. Most recently in 2021, that reissue was the reissue of Kid A with some outtakes, and it was a pretty fascinating collection. I've discussed that on previous Radiohead videos. You can check those out. I'll link to them in the description. Billboard defines these LLPs as, quote, a legal business entity that allows the band to exist and conduct their own dealings outside of the typical framework of a record label. Okay, now Radiohead, as I've said, they've established an LLP leading up to the release of their 2007 album In Rainbows. They did it again in 2011 to bring out King of Limbs. They did it again in advance of their last release, A Moon-Shaped Pool, in 2016. Thom Yorke is in particular an LLP addict, okay, because he also has done these LLPs in advance of the Atoms for Peace record with Flea and Nigel Goodrich back in, 2013? Prior to every one of the now 3 Smile records, he's put together these LLPs. As I said, they haven't always preceded new studio albums, but more often than not they have, which is pretty exciting. This latest LLP that they've put together is called RHEUK 25. Okay. And what's special about this one is, like the LLP with which the band preceded that Kid A reissue, this one it encompasses all 5 members. All 5 members have joined on this LLP. So it's a joint unit that is putting this LLP together. RHEUK 25. Now, decoded, could those letters indicate perhaps a Radiohead tour of Europe and the UK in 2025? It's interesting to note, maybe, that this LLP, this most recent one, which was filed just days ago, was specifically filed on the 30th anniversary to the day of the release of the Bends in 1995. If you can believe it, that was 30 years ago. Yes, we are old. I'm sorry to break it to you. That was 30 freaking years ago that you first heard My Iron Lung and Fake Plastic Trees and the great title track and all that. Okay? Yeah, 30 years have passed since then, bro. Okay? Now, that's pretty interesting, right? Maybe there is a 30th anniversary celebration tour in the works. There is further evidence of that possibility aside from just the LLP thing, okay? As you may have noticed, and I can link to this in the description of this video as well, Colin Greenwood did say last September that a couple months prior, he and Radiohead got together for a rehearsal. Well, what do you rehearse for? Just for the fun of it? Or do you rehearse for a tour? He did specifically say, quote, "We did some rehearsals about 2 months ago in London." Now, again, this is time frame September 2024. "Just played the old songs, and it was really fun. I had a really good time." So they're playing the old songs. There is no reporting I am able to find indicating that they are playing or recording any new songs. But again, there is this 30th anniversary of the Bends that aligns literally to the day of the filing of this LLP. So the Radiohead sleuths out there that have been reading the Radiohead tea leaves is with increasing desperation and hoping to see some sign of life. I would say, as a guy who, again, has recorded previously videos suggesting that Radiohead might be dead, I would be excited to be proven completely wrong about that in the form of this, what appears to be hopeful sign of something coming for Radiohead. As I think Pitchfork noted, it's unlikely, given their history with these LLPs, that they would be creating an LLP just to carry on doing nothing. Okay? So there's some reason for this. Who knows what it is? We don't know. This is a famously secretive, even cryptic band. There's just no telling. Is it some kind of reissue of the Bends? Is it an 30th anniversary tour of the Bends? The set list for which presumably would be very heavy in selections from that record. Is it a new studio album, which would be my preference? I would love to hear these guys put some new music together in this year, or maybe something comes out next year. Who knows what the time frame might be? We just don't know. What we do know is that this band, once again, all of them have put together this LLP as of March 13th, and they don't do that just for the fun of it. Their history suggests that they have always done that in advance of something. Is it a reissue? Is it a tour? Is it a studio record? Who knows? Definitely stay tuned. But Radiohead fans, you've got a big dose of hope here in this story. Let's see what happens. Another stay tuned moment from me here at The Curious Listener.